I've bought my first bandsaw, finally. Today I'm putting together my Axminster Tools HBS350N bandsaw, and I've left the instructions in the house. Today I'm putting together the Axminster Tools HBS350N 14-inch bandsaw. I'm very, very excited. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a guided tour. You can see us put it together. With any luck, if I actually get it working, you'll see us do my first cut on it. Exciting times. Hiya, welcome back to Gosforth Handyman. If you've been following us for a while, you'll know I've been intending on getting a bandsaw, a proper big boys bandsaw, for quite a while. And I've finally bought one. Ages and ages ago, I made myself a little jigsaw bandsaw table. I'd love to say it's been well used, but it ain't been well used because it's been hanging on the wall in the corner of the workshop, feeling sorry for itself, because the sad thing is if you don't have something out and easy to get to and just ready to literally press a button and switch on and use when you need it. I've only got one jigsaw. I suppose I could have bought another jigsaw, but I am so tight. Anyway, the point is that I needed a bandsaw. There's multiple jobs where I could have really done with a proper bandsaw with a decent cutting capacity. I have literally no idea where I'm going to put this. My plan is to kind of put it in this corner, but at the minute that corner's full of stuff. But what I am going to do is put it on wheels. As with everything in my workshop, it will be going on wheels so I can wheel it around and put it wherever I need it. Just to let you know a little bit about it first, it's, as I say, it's kind of the top of the range of the Axminster hobby series. Now, I personally wouldn't describe a 14-inch bandsaw as a hobby level bandsaw. This is quite a big bit of kit. It's got a nice cast iron table on it. It's got all the features I would expect from a decent bandsaw. I've tried it out in the shop and it seems sturdy and really nice. I know people will say, why didn't you get the record power one? Yes, there's a record power. I think it's a 14-inch, pretty much the equivalent of this. Me father-in-law, I think, has that exact bandsaw, which I probably could have used that. In all honesty, yes, it probably is a better bandsaw spec-wise. This only has an 850 watt motor in it, I think. I can't remember what the record power one is. I think it's about 1200 or thereabouts. I don't care. I was in North Shields. I was driving past Axminster Tools. I've been umming and ahhing about getting one for the last 6 months. I just needed to pull my finger out, and if I didn't actually just drive into the shop and pick one up there and then, I would still be talking about buying a bandsaw in a year's time. So the trade-off is, yes, it may or may not be as high a spec as the record power one, but you know, it seems decent to me. I've seen it in the shop. I've read reviews on it who have all said it's really good, but get the record power one. It's red as well. It matches my logo colour. So you know what it is? I'm just going to get this thing built. If I get a chance to kind of talk about bits through the build, I will, or it might just end up being one big kind of time lapse of the whole build. Oh, by the way, if you've got one of these, please tell me how good it is. I don't want to hear about other bandsaws that are better than this bandsaw. Right, the little stand's built. One thing I forgot to mention is that it weighs nearly 100 kilos. I have literally no idea how I'm going to get that onto that. Anyway, I'm going to put it on wheels. Absolutely, sod's law, out of my stash of wood, I have no plywood panels big enough for the bottom of that, which is a little bit annoying because I was just going to make one big plywood kind of bit, and I haven't got anything that's suitable. So instead, I'm going to make it out of kind of strips of ply. So I'm going to have a strip along the bottom there, a strip along the bottom there, and then I'll run a couple of pieces that way and that way to stop any inclination of the legs to kind of splay out, if that's even a thing. I've got loads of strips of ply, so I've got loads of stuff that I can use to make that. But sod's law, you see, this is what happens when you don't do enough hoarding. Right, that's it all built. What I didn't show you on camera was all of the setup of the actual bandsaw itself, because that took about half a day and would have resulted in a very long video. To summarise, so you'll have seen I've cleaned down the table bed. I've just used a white spirits to get the oil off it, and then I've used 2 coats of machine wax, which I've then just polished with a cloth to get a really nice finish on the actual bed. I've squared the table and checked the 0 marker. I've attached obviously the fence and the fence extension. I've sorted out the blade tracking. I've sorted out the blade tensioning. I've sorted out the drive belt tensioning. I've levelled the insert plate on the actual table bed. I've sorted out all of the guide and thrust bearings on the top and bottom. That took quite a while, and there's a bit of a problem with the guide bearings on the bottom side, which I'm sorting out with Axminster. I've attached the lower dust cover, which that didn't actually seem to be mentioned in the instructions, but that's kind of done. Obviously, it just needed one finishing touch on it before I actually use the thing as well. If you want to know more about the setup of a bandsaw, post it in the comments and I might do a separate video about it, but there are other videos out there on YouTube about how to set up a bandsaw, but they do tend to be a little bit different from manufacturer to manufacturer. This was relatively straightforward to set up. All I would say is it took me about half a day to build it, and half including building the base thing. And it took us a good half a day to set the whole thing up. In other words, doing all the adjustment of the guide bearings and stuff like that. If it takes you any less than that, you're probably missing a stage out, or maybe you've just rushed through it a little bit. I've seen quite a few people commenting on the interweb of having various problems with new bandsaws and sort of tracking problems and various issues with the guide bearings and stuff. That's probably because it's not been set up properly. Not 100%, it might be a fault with the machine, but generally 99% of the time when I see people posting about problems with their bandsaws, it's just because they've maybe missed a stage in the setup. The manual for this bandsaw is about 40 pages long or something, you know, so you've got to go through every stage. If you miss a bit out, then something later down the line isn't going to fit. As I say, I did come up with a couple of little design flaws with it, which I'm sorting out offline, but it's another good reason why I bought it from Axminster, because their after-sales support is excellent, and if there's any major problems, I can just drive down to the shop. Anyway, I'm so excited. Let's cut something